First of all, welcome to Singapore. How's camp been? What are your thoughts leading into this rematch with Joanna? Was this the fight you had expected after your last loss to Rose? Were you expecting a rematch Joanna so quickly? And just how's fight camp been?
Yeah, definitely the camp went very smooth. So everything is fine. Everything was on track right now. And also my second fight with Joanna will be very exciting. And this fight will definitely involve in that, who will be the number one contender. So I'm very excited about it.
I was going to ask you if you had heard Dana White give an interview today, and he said that the winner of this will fight for the title next, whether it's you or Joanna. So I'm curious, did you hear that? And does that add any extra pressure to this fight?
Yeah, I know the news this morning when doing the interview with Morgan, and yeah, I'm very excited. Definitely, it's a great news. I'm very excited.
What type of approach to the fight do you expect from Joanna? This is only her fourth three-round fight. She's taking 27 months off. So what are you expecting from her in this rematch?
I think Joanna definitely will pick up the pace because it's a three-round fight rather than a five-round. And I think she will pick up the pace rather than what she used to do. And she definitely will become more fearless.
And she had said in her last fight she had a game plan, but when she was fighting you, she wanted to become a fighter, and she just kept kind of going forward, looking for that back-and-forth war. And now she expects like a surgical performance in there where she can be technical and take you apart. So are you going to change your approach from last fight entering this rematch?
Yeah, no matter how the fight goes, actually, no matter what kind of strategy or what kind of techniques she will use, the stronger will be the winner of the fight on Sunday morning.
Question. So last 2 years you're preparing for fights with Arizona with Henry who's a former champion. Would you use some wrestling skills in this fight? Would you prefer some wrestling?
Definitely, I will use some wrestling in this match. I learned a lot from Henry, and if I don't use it, that will be a waste.
And one more question. So when your fights are happening in the Asian area, you're undefeated. So in happening in Singapore, in the UFC 275, it's the biggest event in Asian area history. So how confident do you win this fight?
So fighting in Singapore just like fighting in my home country. So every time I fight in my home country, I got the first round finish.
I think the winner of this fight, winner of this match, will be fighting next in the title shot. So, when would you back in the octagon again if you win this fight?
Yeah. So for the next fight, if I win Joanna, and I will go to States directly. So anytime I can fight the next fight.
How do you see the results of the fight? Is it 3 rounds or less?
I don't think it will be 3 rounds, and I don't want to fight for 15 minutes.
Thank you. I'm just curious, you were on a 20-fight winning streak before the past 2 losses to Rose. How have these results of the past 2 fights affected your confidence coming into this?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think the loss will be pulling back for me for the life. I think those 2 losses give me a lot of experience, and life is about experience. So I experienced a lot and I learned from the loss a lot. So I don't think that's something that you really looking down if you lose to somebody, but it's a life experience. And this is also the excitement of MMA. Everything can happen.
And what do you make of Carla Esparza as a champion? Some might say she would be a better matchup for you than a Rose or a Joanna. What do you think of how your styles match up?
Yeah, and when you talk about this, I was thinking through in my mind. I feel really happy and excited if I can fight Carla. I think the match up with me and Carla will be very different. We will fight in all dimensions. It's like no matter it's striking or on the ground, we will fight a lot. So, yeah, it's about to bring the exciting fights to the fans. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Speaking of Carla, I'm curious what she thought of her fight with Rose Namajunas, and she mentioned exciting fights. Obviously, that one wasn't particularly exciting. What did she think of that fight, and was she surprised it was the way it was?
Yeah, I feel definitely Rose is in a lot of pressure when she steps into the octagon. Definitely, she wants to take care of her belt and didn't want to fight hard, fight everything out, but want to fight more strategically and more easily to against Carla. But as a champion or as a MMA fighter, you should not think about that. You should always in the fight, you should have your everything into the octagon and fight your heart out. So that I don't think Rose should fight on an attitude like that.
I'm just curious about that. Will you ever go after the flyweight? Will you ever go after the flyweight?
So for now, definitely I want to focus on this fight and focus on the title next, and then we can think about it.